Hey friends, this is Jenny Renstotrip of Gritty Birds Podcasting, and you are about to watch the week 3 video of my interview with Jay Yow, who is the engineer with James Altrucher. He is fantastic. Week 3, the Free Friday workshop was all about how to set up streaming with your interface, and that's going to be the next video. But if you want to find out some of his perspectives and our conversation about it, this is what we've got today. If you can, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube so that we can go ahead and change our URL. All right, thanks so much and enjoy the video. We're live! Fireworks! Hey!
Ball drop. Do I have ball drops? Oh, ball drop.
Boom. I've been playing this game where you like match things. I think this is something I just need to stop doing.
Is that like a Candy Crush type of thing?
No, I think it's like Candy Crush. It's called Gardenscape. I was being boring and I was adding it, and that's what we're doing. Boom, boom, boom. It has firework displays going on. And
wait, are you 5 years old? Gardenscape?
I'm fighting for my soul every day right now. God. Oh man, so I am super stoked to have my friend Jay Yow here.
Thank you.
This is a new thing that's happening with all this stuff with Gritty Birds. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, and it's part of the Friday series, which it's going to be kind of like themed toward what's happening this week. So today I'm having my buddy on, Jay, because this week's is about interfaces, because I've been talking about streaming a lot lately. And that's something I've been doing for years and years and years. And one of the big things is people are like, I don't understand how to connect my interfaces, especially for my artists out there, because a lot of the reason I started really diving and doing these workshops was because the artists were like, I have no idea how to get my instrument into here. And I'm like, how do you? Okay, let's not worry about how you don't know. Let's actually just get it over with. But the crazy part is like one of the first like conversations we ever had was debates about interfaces.
Yeah. I remember you love you love Babyface. Is that
I love my Babyface?
Are you using it right now?
I'm not, because we discussed that there's an issue going on potentially. So I'm going through my Scarlett Focusrite, which I have.
That's pretty good. Through the cloud lifter,
yeah, I'm totally. So I have that going through the cloud lifter, which I've had, and our shout out to our friend Roger Cloud, and yes, Roger, we had so much fun down in Orlando.
Yeah, I'm so sad that I didn't get there.
You have to come to Podfest. That was such a good time, and it was the last level of normalcy in the world that we all had.
I think that's exactly what happened. Like after the Podfest, and everything just go crazy, because I was supposed to go to a lot of different places, and then everything just shut down. Yeah,
that was going to be my last trip, and like there had been conversations about me going to South by Southwest, and then there was conversations about me going to Treefort Music Festival, and then NAB. Yeah, and all of a sudden it was like, well, nothing's happening ever again. So not ever, but it is a weird moment in life where suddenly what I've been just like telling people, I'm like, guys, let's get the online world going. Hey.
So this is the time.
Now I'm like, so it's been rather anxiety ridden.
I mean, but this is the time, right? Like this is the time where everyone shine. Like this is the time what we were going to talk about. It's going to be important because like everyone need to know all these informations, or at least the basic concept of the informations, right?
Yeah, totally. So I mean, what was your first interface?
My first interface is actually RME Fireface 800.
Oh, it was. That was 8 years ago. You started like high end. You were like, I'm just gonna go full end, baby.
Because what happened is, when I was in Malaysia, when I work in Malaysia, that's the interface that the studio have. Oh, and then I'm like, okay, I just want a similar thing, so like, I can bring project back home, and all the I/O setup is still the same. I can work from home.
Okay, so you're from Malaysia.
Yeah.
And how did you get into engineering?
It's weird. Like I wanted to be an actor and an artist and a singer way back, and then I realized this work's not for me, so I just want to be in the backstage and do like wherever the backstage to support the people on the stage. And then one of my tutor when I was like 13 or 14, and he's like, you should try out audio engineering. I'm like, sure. And I look into it and I loved it, and then from that point on I just want to be an audio engineer. And I love computers, so I'm smart at I'm really quick at troubleshooting. Whoa!
Oh, sorry. Say it again. But
No, I'm kidding.
no, I was sharing and then I didn't hear you. I was being bad.
It's okay. No,
Yeah.
yeah. So like I just started working in a studio and then
Yeah.
internet studio and then go to school
Oh, that's
and
cool.
all this stuff. Yeah,
And you went to Full Sail, right?
yeah. I
But
went
when
to
did that was later.
that was later. So I went to School of Audio Engineering, SAE. I don't know if you heard about it before. SAE. So that is
Mhm.
like a school, like audio engineering school in
Okay.
Malaysia. They have it here in New York and a couple
Okay.
places, LA as well. And then I moved, and then I go to Full Sail after. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So then when did you move to the US?
it's 9 years ago. My visa just
9
got
years.
approved. So
Okay.
like yeah,
So
that's
you
my
left
third
the
visa.
studio over there. You're like, I want my own interface, and you head over across the world,
Yeah.
and you moved to New York.
Yeah, and I actually, so I got an interface in Malaysia. I bring the interface from Malaysia to US. It's weird because I
Right.
have to
Right.
buy
Right.
the converter. I have to buy the whole transformer just so it will, because the voltage is different.
Oh yeah, of course that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's 240 here or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really easy. I mean, to sort of forget about a lot of those things, but it
Yeah,
is important because, like, you can really screw over your audio components if you
yep,
don't have the voltage. It'll just ruin the machine like right away.
yeah, and you ruin
So,
your recording and your computer and everything.
yeah, exactly. Everything's going to be out. So, like, if
Mm.
you're over in Europe doing this, just make sure, like, whatever gear you're getting, that you're having it set up correctly. If you're in the US, generally, you're going to be fine when you're picking up what you're having. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, my first was an M Audio interface.
Oh
I
my
got
god.
it. Yeah, I got it. It was 15 years ago. I
Right.
got it in Seattle. It was used. I got it from a used store, and then I had that and a basic condenser mic and one of my E35s, which I still
Was
have.
that the M Audio solo track?
No, it had two inputs. I can't remember. It was just an M Audio M track.
Oh, M track. Yeah.
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 So but then it broke about like 4 years ago, and that was when I got the production studio going again because I had been working in the production studio at X-Ray. So at that point, I wasn't even using the interface that much for
Right.
home because
Right.
like my home spaces really just were crap. So I had I happened to have a like a Yeti too, and like my computer was really old, but I got the Yeti because I wanted something. Yeah, we're talking about like 5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago.
Right.
It was I went to the Mac store
Right.
and like literally the Mac store. It's called the Mac store.
Right.
And we've always been an Apple family. And I went and my computer was just like at the end of its life. And so I picked up that and we had a just like a iPad, and I
Right. Right.
needed
Right.
something that I could record in the iPad so I could continue recording because I just wanted to like play up with ideas, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that
Right.
was like the second one that I got because I didn't understand the camera kit situation at that point.
Oh,
And
right.
now like and I ended up actually setting up a camera kit situation to get the Yeti in instead of the interface. And like looking back on that, I'm like, why didn't I do that? But it was like I was using studios at the time. So we were recording
Right.
my record like even a couple years
All right.
before
That's
that.
when you were
And so
still like playing music stuff.
yeah, exactly. So like similar to you, like that sense of like I've been performing music and doing music since 1984. Like I'm
Wait,
just kidding. I was
how
one.
old are you? No, I'm just joking.
I'm
Like,
36, but like no,
what?
I would say like probably more like 1990 was
Right. Right.
about when
Right.
I started performing just in the church, and like we would just mess around with like just basic like tape recorders, and so I would have like my We Sing tapes,
Right.
and I
Right.
would
Right.
sing along, and then I'd push record. Sometimes
Oh,
not on the
those were the
tape, but
days.
yeah, so like that was the start. But then when the interfaces were fun, so I had this project where for my dad's birthday, I would go ahead and record him songs. And so we did Beatles songs and I would record
Oh,
these and just
nice.
send him for his birthday. So I would record them on my Apple because my dad got me an Apple and that was where the Amtrak came in.
Right. Right. Right.
But I was still recording in studios at the time because like everything was better. You didn't have like giant rooms or bad acoustics and
I think studio needs to come back, man. I mean, like now this is a bad time for the
not
studio
right
to come
now.
back. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
like I feel like a lot of people underestimated like how important studio are.
Yeah.
Like just a good acoustics, just a good engineer and a
It's
good,
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
nice.
and when I started the podcast, originally I had like I did, I tried some different things out. So like the first,
Right.
there was a couple that were recorded with the Yeti, but the sound was so terrible.
It
It's
is.
like, oh, I'll have it in the middle of the room, and then it was like, well, that sounds really bad, and
Right.
oh, yay, cool, yeah. So
And also like one thing about the Yeti, like now I realize a lot of people doesn't really know how to use the Yeti. Like
I
they get the
have,
Yeti and then they don't
yeah.
really know how to use the Yeti. Like they will speak on top of the Yeti,
So
which
for
you shouldn't be.
Right, exactly. And it can look better for photos to be
Right.
like this, but that
Yeah.
isn't gonna unfortunately do it.
No.
So like if you're gonna wanna be like right here. So like
Yeah.
when I was using this, so the evolution was is that I used it was a little production studio and the Independent Print Resource Center, and they had we just had a mixing board, like I think it was a Mackie or a Yamaha, and just a regular board.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
so that was the next interface that I used. I did one in a studio, and then the next step was that I was in there and we just had like SM58s, a mixing board into GarageBand. It was really simple, but it was a small room. It was perfect for
Right.
what it is. And so the first season was recorded in there.
Right.
And then so I didn't need to have anything at home. And I had like my place was totally not optimized at all for that. So it was
Right.
it didn't work. But the cool part was is that that was when I joined the radio station. When I joined the radio station, and I'd been working in another radio station for a little bit, but it wasn't a good fit.
I didn't know you were in the radio station.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So I
wow.
got brought in. So after all the music stuff happened, I had
Right.
like built up a lot of media connections. I was running festivals and doing media for different organizations.
Right.
It just came naturally to me. But I really loved recording. That was the passion.
Hmm.
So I kept wanting to get in, and some people were like, a couple broadcasters were like, we really want to get you into this. You have a natural tone for audio. Cause
Right.
I was recording the record at the time. So like we were in the production studio constantly. So it was like problem solving is one of the big things that I think as a producer is like our jobs, especially in audio. It's where like, yes, I can edit really well. I'm going to try to find solutions. I'm going to try to be fast about it.
Yeah.
But like, it's like this week has been harder for me because of just the resilient side of stuff. And that's like what I'm building.
Right.
But like the grief side of all of this has been really, really rough. Totally random. But like
Right.
to bring that up in the middle of that other
Hey,
conversation.
it's okay. Like no,
But that
no, it's
was
just fine.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I had barely any budget because I was mostly doing this all nonprofit and as a volunteer working for different organizations, and
Which
then
is
also
great.
writing for papers. Yeah, and so I got brought on to X-Ray FM. We were in the New York Times this week with our friend Tex Clark, and Tex had the Yeti, so I have the Yeti because I was showing her a thing
Right. Right.
the other day about the placement, and
Right.
yeah, so I came on to them and they taught me narrative. So I had a production studio there. We had a production studio there, and then the production studio we upgraded it. But during that time, I didn't have a mic, so I picked up so I started using my Yeti, and I had it
Yeah.
like this. And whenever I do voiceovers, even before, I'd have it this close with like a wool sock on top of it,
Right. Right. Right.
and then a blanket over my head, and it sounded pretty close to this with a little bit of beefing up in the EQ.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeti sounds a little bit highs too. Like like that's the difference between condenser
Yeah.
microphone and the dynamic microphones, right? So Yeti is a little bit more open
Yeah.
than a dynamic microphone, and it's smart for you to just use blanket. Like a lot of people doesn't really use blanket mainly because they
Yeah.
didn't know there's going to be so much reflection of the room. If they're recording at home.
I mean, moving blankets are great. Those ones, like having it,
know.
you can make a box. I mean, you can hang from your ceiling, like just
Right.
hooks. Like I've got this right here.
Right.
But I could also hang a moving blanket right here
Right.
and then have two more and fully make this a caged off space. My place is pretty small and there is a little bit of echo, but it's not as bad as it could be. And because
Right.
I have some tools to fix it, I'm just like, whatever. But a lot of people don't have that and they take their interfaces and they're not able to control it. So one thing I like about the Focusrite is like automatically now you can pick up everything in my room.
Right. Like, whoa,
Sorry.
please give me a
And then
warning next.
and then I can turn it down.
Right.
Where, like if I have a really loud space, I can have the gain a little lower, so I'm
Right.
not picking up all those things and then boost the
Right.
signal.
Yeah.
And that was the key, and that's one of the things that I like about having an interface.
Yeah.
They're super simple. I did it that easily. I'd
And-
say that was the simplicity of the M audio, the simplicity of the Focusrite. Sometimes I love my baby face, but it is a little bit of a pain sometimes in the settings to keep them set. I love
Right.
total mix effects.
Yeah.
But there's just things it occasionally does
See,
that
that's
are not as easy.
right. So that's what I want to tell people, right? Like when choosing an audio interface, other than looking into like how many mic inputs and outputs that you
Yeah.
need, like like sometimes if you have like 4 people, then you need interface that's more than 4 people. But you also have to look at how simple and how easy the audio interface is. Like the one that I'm using right now is actually the Audion Evo 4. I don't think you can see it right now. So this interface only have one knob. and
Yeah.
6 buttons. So what happened is you have to click on different button to turn up different things. And the worst thing is that like you once if you unplugged it and you plug it back in, everything reset.
I and on the baby face, the way that it works is that I can unplug it, but there's with total mix, I can go back to the settings,
Yeah,
like
you have a
automatically.
preset,
But
right? Yeah.
again, it's still like it does go to a default, but like that's
Right.
open. But
Yeah.
again, it's the single knob, and I really like it. It's just that sometimes with streaming, it isn't ideal. It's really great for recording, but
Right.
it's great. I like it for streaming because I can stream because it has enough inputs for music.
Right.
So on this guy, it's not connected, so I can actually show it. And we'll get into the debates about other parts of it, but
SSL is still the best. I'm sorry. I'm a
oh no,
hater.
I mean like I'm into it. That's the thing. I'm down for anyone like disagree, and I'm just like don't sort of fight with me. I just don't have the energy for it.
No.
I keep bringing stuff up. I realize that I'm a bit like
Yeah.
straightforward with everyone, and
Yeah.
I'm just
Babyface
like
is great.
nope. So this is the
I
baby
mean, yeah.
face, but specifically, so here you've got this is like your mic levels one,
Right.
two, and then this is your outputs, and then I can like click it. So click, click. So that
Right.
get it right here, and then click, and then I can go here to just have it leave. And this
Right.
is what the Digiface looks like too. So you cannot use a RME product and have something else.
Right.
But it has two inputs for your instruments, and this is one of the reasons why this is so nice for music. But it also has the ability, it's with Total Mix, it's really nice because it has an ability to do the mix
District.
minus
Right.
really easily.
Right.
And so like but the part where that's cool and where I think that this like a lot of where this came from, where all these musicians are like, I have no idea how to do this. But it allows like if you have someone else streaming, or if you want to have a backing track, or if you want to play to your own drum beats,
Right.
it allows you to bring in your other things that are playing that are not from that. So which is nice, and like I'll go more into that in Friday's workshop.
Right.
But it's like you have to have this particular one to do that.
Right.
Where on the Focusrite, I have my mic and I have a single input, so I can have like a keyboard.
Right.
And then using the different programs, we can be able to stream, which
Right.
is great. But you have to make sure that you're testing out your mic. Where I don't know for sure, I've not tested out on StreamYard, and I can't because it's not connected, whether I can do my instrument on there, even
Right.
though it's a really great one.
Right,
So
right, yeah, yeah. That's the thing with Army, right? Army is always good at the total mix is great. Like you have
yeah,
like what they call the loop back. Loop back is what you talk about.
yeah,
You can
the loop
play
back.
in the computer. They will record it back, and then their driver is amazing.
Yeah,
The driver
yeah,
is one of the most stable, and then you can use it on PC and Mac.
yeah. And then
So
totally, you can use it on PC or Mac. I'd
right,
say it ended up being one that a lot of people who are PC users really, really gravitated
right,
toward because it has all the things that you need for it, but it's a little bit of a pain on the Mac side because you have to go in, and it's not a huge
right,
issue. But as far as like PC and like your highest end, like this has
yeah,
been for the last while one of the top ones, and that was and now it's changed a lot even from there. So like when I was a Guitar Center, I got a lot of pushback on it because they were like universal audio, and I think that's still the better one. I think our babyface. I think the babyface is still the better one.
yeah.
And I met a
Like
lot. Sorry, I was like, no.
whoa,
But like it was the popular opinion kind of
right,
concept. And I
right,
think that it's really easy for anything that you're doing. It's like, oh, I'm only going to use Zoom. I'm only going to do this, or I'm only going to do that. So Allison mentions about the Luna as a DAW. I'm kind of curious about that. So you have a Twin Mark II and can't wait to get hands on it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like Apollo has a huge footprint, and that was something that I saw when I was at NAMM.
right.
That's the big music conference, the big music trade show, and I worked it for RME and did field recordings there. And I would say that they had a huge footprint there, and they're putting a lot of money into that, and
Yep.
they don't need to do a lot with advertising. Same with
Right.
Apogee. Apogee
Yeah.
was next door, and they had all these great artists, and they were super
Apogee
sexy,
is
and we're all
great.
like, we are Germans.
Apogee
I'm
is
not
great.
kidding.
Like so
Yeah.
Apogee is my go-to interface. I actually
I brought it up because of that.
yeah, because I have like three different Apogee products. So I have the Symphony, I have a Duet, and I have Element. And
Yeah.
but the thing is, Apogee is not great for first-time user. So like if you are
Y-
not audio engineer, it's not great for you because it's like one button for everything. So
Yeah.
you have to know how to like go through all the settings. And the reason
Right.
why universal audio is so huge, mainly because of the what they call the unison technology. So you can choose different preamp while you're recording, and it
Yeah.
will like emulate like SSL preamp, NIF preamp, so like all those
Yeah.
legendary preamp. That's why they are
Speaking
so.
of you, your SSL love.
I know.
Eh, Okay, so Jay has gotten really excited and he sent me a message recently. He's like,
I know.
SSL2,
This is the one. This is
SSL2.
great. This is
And
amazing. I don't have the product with me right now because I have to set up for my client. So if you look at
yeah,
the box, if it's only two preamp, I just want to make sure. Yeah, only two preamp, and
simple.
then simple, easy. You plug it in, and then have big knobs, 4K button, and then you
Yeah.
have the phones, and then you have direct monitoring and USB DAW monitoring.
Yeah, so let's talk about direct monitoring really quick on these interfaces because that's a
Yeah.
huge one. So on my RME, I have it set up using Total Mix. That's where I get my direct monitoring.
Mhm.
A lot of people will. A good example is why is it that I can't hear what's happening in my in Audition? And you're like, because Audition has a latency to it, right?
Right.
And any of your programs, you are going to be recording, but there's going to be just a little bit of delay. And
Right.
so direct monitoring is the thing that allows you to, I mean, you want to make sure that you're recording,
Mhm.
but oh, Allison said that that's a game changer for non-audio musicians. Yes, yes, totally.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for the SSL.
Yeah.
But coming back, if with the direct monitoring, it's so simple because you just want to be able to hear what's happening
Right.
and get a true sound for it. So like on the Focusrite, the direct monitor allows you to hear exactly what's going on. And then that's for the 2i2. And then
Mhm.
when you have the rack, any of the racks or the bigger ones, if they don't have the direct monitoring in the front, so
No.
you
Yep.
use the
Nope.
Focusrite control and you can do it from Focusrite control.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So really appreciated Dan Humphreys for sharing that a couple weeks ago. So I was working with Demona, did you meet Demona when we were down
I
in
don't think
LA?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, I think toward the end because we met toward the end of the time. Shout out to Marion. Marion
Oh
said
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Very.
Marion's like, "Are you going to give credit for introducing
Yeah.
us?" And I'm like,
Very
"Yeah,
is
of course,
great. Yeah.
totally."
Yeah. Direct monitoring is really important. So like I'm an engineer, but direct monitoring is important for podcaster, right? Podcaster
Yes, for
and
podcasting.
vocalists or musicians. Like for you, it's especially very important because you want to sing to a track without any delay.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So you want to be
Right.
able to have what's going on really simply and be able to get that out there.
Right.
So
So
I
for
think
me,
it's
yeah, for me, from the audio engineering, for audio engineer point of view, because I'm recording other people, right? So like they don't.
right.
So for my client, from James Altrucher, for James and the guest, I
Yeah.
always, I always take the headphones away from them. So I'm not gonna let them wear the headphones at all because I'm there to monitor the audio
Yeah.
anyway. And then
Like
I
if
was,
you're in there, that's your job.
yeah,
Like as a third person, the engineer. Like
yeah,
if you know the sound is good, you can give eye controls and they
right,
can look good.
yeah, yeah, and also like a lot of people are not comfortable with their own voice. I mean, you
No.
are musicians, you are vocalists, you are different. You have to love your voice. But a lot of podcaster or
I've
a
gotten
lot,
used to it.
yeah, a lot of the guests, they are not comfortable with their own voice. So like if you let them wear the headphones, one, they either try to control themselves from the microphone. They're like, oh, am I too loud or am I too soft? Do I have to move around for the microphones? Secondly, they are like they pay so much attention to their own voice, and then they
Mhm.
forgot the answer, or they forgot to give the great answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they wanna just sit there and I've noticed that because I often do broadcast style because a lot of my interviews that I've done are in the field. So like, Treefort Music Festival, I get a lot of
Right,
interviews. I do less and less these last few years just because I focused on a whole other side of music and figuring out how to, express that is one thing, but I'll do the broadcast style. That was like originally how I was trained, where you're going
right,
like this
right,
because
right,
I
right,
wanna get the best audio that I can, but
right,
like the field recordings are always gonna be weird. And it just takes a little bit for them to get used to it. But
right,
like it's just like having a conversation. But like bringing all that gear along when you're touting to several different venues is where the challenge is. And I would love to be able to have like that dual.
right,
But at the same point, it's like, okay, what are you willing to sacrifice? And I think that's the same with interfaces. So like I have a Zoom recorder, like so that's this guy. And you can also use this guy as an
right,
interface and just directly connect it to your computer
right.
and have it also go through. I think that the Zoom is a little trickier to use as an
It is.
interface interface, just because it's not as straightforward and it's not meant to be your main interface, but it totally can be. It's
Yeah.
very similar to where you're talking about that one knob, right? Like,
Yeah. And also like with Zoom, a lot of all this like streaming platform and Skype and all that stuff, they are a little bit tricky. Like a lot of the because of the API restrictions, a lot of time they can only use channel one. So on Zoom, if you plug in your microphones to like to the side, that's channel three. So sometimes you might not be able to make it work because of that.
right,
Whereas with audio interface, your channel one is your channel one.
right. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
keeps it simple. I think
And
that
then
it's a little different for musicians because they're gonna have a different, like, need for
right.
the streaming, and I think that's something I'll get into on Friday because
Yeah.
I wanna show you guys how that works
Right.
because, like, choosing those are not automatic because it's most of these programs that you're using for streaming really are just looking to stream your microphone. They're not
Right.
looking to stream this guy.
Yeah, they
So,
only
like,
take mono signal.
yeah, they only take mono signal, but what I use often as you can often there's a lot of hacks that you can kinda do as
Mhm.
far as, I'll often use a mixer and have everything plugging
Right.
in and then go into it.
Right.
And but, some of your programs will allow it. Like, I have, it's just you end up having to have it in the settings to be able to get that really clean feed.
Right.
And once you get it down, then it's not difficult, but some interfaces are easier
Mm,
than others to do
right.
that with.
I felt like for musicians a little bit different other than that is that like musicians, right, if they play instruments that have usually have higher dynamic range. So like you want a preamp that can handle their high
Yeah,
huge dynamic range. So you don't want a preamp that will like distort right away when you play a guitars or the bass drum or whatever,
right.
right? So like that's when you actually have to, other than the simplicity, you have to start listening to different type of audio interface and look into like, oh, what preamp suit my style of music, or what preamp sounds do I like. So like the reason why I go with Apogee is because of
It's great.
the preamp stuff. The preamp on Apogee is just amazing. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of low end is great, and it's a little bit colored, but like it's not as aggressive. Whereas SSL preamp is a little bit aggressive, not as
Mhm.
much low end, but it's still great. Like it's great for like guitars, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm not sure about the Focusrite. Focusrite sounds pretty clean to me right now.
I mean, it's
Just
just
from
it's just pretty clean. It's straightforward.
yeah,
It's not like it's good. It's same with Mackie products. It's like it's good. It does the trick. You're not looking at it's got the Nev preamps. So the basic. It's like that kind of it does the trick.
right,
It's okay.
yeah,
And it makes what you need to do work just fine. And that's why so many people are like, I'm gonna like I would have this all the time where
right,
someone would buy the UA,
hmm,
they'd buy the rack. I would be like, $2,000 deal. And as a salesperson in sales, that was a pretty sweet jump up.
right,
And so I was like happy about it. And this would happen all the time to all of
really,
us. And no, where someone would they'd have that 30 days and then
right,
they'd
right,
return it. And like we'd be like, and then they would be like, man, I'm just gonna get a Focusrite rack. I'll be right over there. And then it's like they save so much money. And like it honestly, it didn't sound that different for the most part,
no,
like comparatively when you think of the cost. And so
yeah, I
it
mean,
was like Focusrite really, really nailed that by having their different tiers. It was like
yeah,
something that I think they really rock it. And you see
right,
other companies that have that, like for Mackie, it's like they're able to, they're like kind of, if you think about Behringer, and they're actually the same,
same
um,
tier,
the same tier, but a lot of their same engineers. So like when I met with them, I suppose I should, yeah, when I met with them back in February,
right,
that was one of the things. I think one of the guys who was so rad, he actually was originally from the Behringer team.
right,
So, and then after that, he was from, I forget, one of the DJ companies because he's also a DJ. But it's that sort of like, let's figure out, going over to China, meeting with these companies that can make anything, right?
right, yeah,
And saying like, okay, we want to make this kind of product. This is what the specs look like,
right,
and not going that different route that like RME does. Like
right.
RME is like, mm-mm,
Only in
no,
Germany.
like that's not happening. I
Yeah,
am a
yeah,
German. I love them so much. They're very straightforward.
right,
I
right,
don't
right.
know how to put it.
But the thing
It's
is, like, sometimes also depends on the build, right? Like
mhm.
the different build between the RME and Mackie and Focusrite is also how durable are they?
That's exactly it.
RME,
So
RME lasts forever.
the number one thing, so like I interviewed 25 people at NAM and they were all RME users. And we're talking about like the guy who runs all of the like the ear inputs for Post Malone, like all the sound in
All
the
right.
background. You know, I
Right,
mean,
right,
we're
right.
talking
In the
about
monitor. Yeah,
massive,
yeah.
massive installations or like huge studios. And the comment that everyone would make was, it doesn't break.
Right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't break. And
It
it was
doesn't
like,
break.
doesn't break.
And
And I can't say that about, I mean, like I might be having an issue with mine. I got to figure that out.
oh yeah.
So,
Oops. Oops.
but I
What
don't
the
know. I mean, it might be on my end. It really could. We're still figuring that out. But the bigger point is that generally it does not. And
right.
but like I would expect at some point that a Focusrite or a Behringer or a Mackie product will eventually break. Just like my Amadio box broke, and that was from a different company. But they're like, it just one day it just didn't work anymore, and it was
Right. I felt
like
like
you're in it and you're like, and I'm sitting there and I'm interviewing a like council member who's like who's like
whoa.
running, and we were starting a podcast. So this is like 4 years ago. It was for Chloe U Daily, and I just brought like all my stuff in there, and then like right after, like afterward, I left and like streamed a protest that I led. It was
Oh.
quite a day.
Whoops.
Yeah, I got like 2,000 views on that one. But
Whoa.
I know it was kind of crazy. But the bigger part was like, it was just like, we're gonna find a solution. Coming back to that,
Right,
and
right, right.
so I had like two different mic situations. We made it work. It was really, really janky.
Yeah.
But I made it work. But the interface did not work
Right.
at all. The interface,
Yeah.
it was like, I protest, I'm done. And then I was like, okay.
Well, that's a thing, right? Like like with M-Audio, with Behringer, with Mackie. I mean, they're a great product. The only issue is their buttons always break.
It's the buttons, and it's the other one is the connection with the USB.
Right, right.
So anytime you're taking something in and out of a port over and over and
Mhm.
over, it's going to end up having like issues.
Right.
And that's just like nature. But like, so like for the Yeti, what I ended up having to break, it totally broke on me then, as I was
Is
like,
it still
okay, we're in
working
the
now?
production. Oh no, this is a new one. They sent me a brand new one.
What?
This one, yeah, but they have just that tiny, tiny, tiny little port there, and
Oh,
that's
right,
not a
right, right.
very like the micro USB, and the micro USB is just not a very stable
Nope.
port. You really need something stronger than that, because it breaks really, really easily.
Right.
It can get jarred. That little thing can get put off, and then all of a sudden, the entire unit is not useful. So at
Right.
2 years, exactly 2 years, it quit working. I was able to bug them enough on Twitter to get them to replace it, because I think I was at like 2 years and 4 days or something.
Right.
And they were like, sorry. And I'm like, no. And then I like
This
even
is
went to NAM and I visited them like, hi, I'm that girl who's been bugging you on Twitter. And they're like, you,
this is the lesson we learned here.
how do you
This is,
enjoy your new Yeti? And I'm like, I love it. Thank you.
this is the lesson we learned here. If anything doesn't work out, bug them on Twitter.
It's terrible, but it works.
It
And
works all the time. You have to
I
put on
mean,
the
I
Karen
prefer to
face.
go other routes, for
Right.
anything.
Right. Right.
But it's like, if I need to get something done, I'm going to get something done.
Right.
And
That's
like,
why
I
you're
think
great. You know.
like, I'm a very straightforward person.
I can
It's
tell.
like,
Yeah.
and it sometimes can come across as like more brash, but for me, I'm just like, I'm just trying to get the information out. I'm just trying to like keep things moving,
Right. 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 Which is
and like get offline as soon as I can.
right.
But I end up spending most of my time online just trying to figure out solutions to stuff, and it's just like those can be such energy wasters. So
Right.
if there's a way to say, hey, as politely as you can, but like, it's really difficult in text situations to be able to go ahead and write those things out. You can't have the same conversations online like that way as you can like in person. But sometimes those things can be like, let's figure out this step,
Right.
like understand I'm not the enemy here.
Yeah.
And they know that too. And
Yeah.
then we meet in person, you guys are like, they're like, you're bubbly, and you're like, of course, like, yeah, like,
Well, one thing about tech is that like one thing goes wrong doesn't mean so if one thing goes wrong doesn't mean the same thing's gonna happen again. So like there's a lot of
mhm,
troubleshootings going into it
yeah,
rather than just like oh this button broke. No, this thing doesn't work because of this button. A lot of times
no,
this thing doesn't work. It's because of this, and
yeah.
that together.
So like
You
right
know.
now where I'm at with my interface, and we're talking about this, of
Right.
course, is like it very well could be so far it's like getting everything set up, checking out the power, trying it out with different machines,
Right.
seeing what is working and what's not, figuring out if it's the mic, if it's the cable, and every one of those can be a different thing. And
Right.
that was the joy of my spending
Troubleshooting. Yeah.
2 years at Guitar Center after being a teacher for 8 years. Like you teach a bunch of elementary kids, every kid has to have a different way slightly
Right.
to get the message through. And as a Montessori teacher, my job was to get those pieces out.
Right.
And my job in the field is to get that audio no matter what
Right.
and figure out how to do it. And sometimes it works better than others.
Right.
But at the end of the day, well, something might not be like the ideal situation for another person. If it works for you, I think that's great.
Right.
And if you learn more information about that and you're like, I think I don't want to work with that company or that piece of software, that's also fine.
Yeah.
But it's just like, if that works for you, fantastic. And I
Right.
think that I think that's a huge curve that I like to push to people is like, when one of the reasons that I think people liked me at Guitar Center is I gave all the information. I'm like,
Right.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
the top end and I'll tell you the low end, but I want you to just know the information. Like
Right.
you can take it to that next point later, but having that ability to have, as much information as you can, as opposed to just being like, well, that one's crap, so I'm just not going to tell you about it, is not the best, especially when it comes down to budgets, and that's where we often hit in
Yes.
interfaces. So I'm curious about the SSL, to move us forward. It's like, what's the price point that you're getting for that SSL?
So the SSL that I got from Alto Music, I actually got it for like 234. So it's actually not bad at all. Like for the SSL, like SSL, I don't know if there's a lot of people here. It's like a huge audio nerds or not, but like SSL is a huge company. Like their console is going for like hundreds of thousands. Like they always like Jay-Z use their console, Kanye use their console,
Mhm.
everyone use their console, and like so far so good. Like 200 and I think it's $234. I think if you go out buying from B&H to 240 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a plastic bezel, but it's aluminum top. So like
Okay.
it's metal top. It's great. And then the preamp, SSL preamp is always great. And then like the one thing that I really like about this SSL is that it's not like Babyface. It's not like Focusrite where you have to install the additional software so you can control within the software. This is you
Yeah.
plug in and install the driver and you're done.
Yeah.
Everything is what you see is what you get. The preamp is there, the gain is there. Just turn it back up, turn it back up, and that's it. Yeah, simple. Like for like especially like I have to set up for my client. My client doesn't have any technical background, so I'm like, yeah. So you just turn this up and turn this down, and that's it.
So let's kind of move over there. So you are the engineer for James Altrucher. Did I
Yeah.
say his name right?
So this is how he always tell people to say his name is I'll touch her.
I'll touch her. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll touch
I know
her.
I should like know this. I just see his name.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. That's how how he introduced
Yeah.
himself. Yeah,
So that's like a pretty like sweet gig. How did
I
you
loved
come
it.
across it? And like I don't know. Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, it's
He's got quite an interesting story. He's fun.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. So like I think that's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
He stumbled across our studio. So I used to work in a studio down in Soho, in New York. So he lived like in the corner of the studio, by the
Yeah.
corner of the studio. So he came in, he wanted to do a sessions, and then he is the type of person like he would just want to go wherever that's closest. So he came into
Yeah.
the sessions, and then that's the first time I got into podcasting. And then I'm like, okay, this is great. I want to work with this person over and over again. And then I told my studio manager, hey, if the guy comes in and books in again, can you just put me on there? That's how studio
Yeah.
works, right? So like there's
Yeah.
different engineer in the studio. Um, and then since then I've been working with him, and then the studio closed mainly because the owner doesn't want to make music anymore. So when the
Yeah.
studio closed, I'm like, hey, I work with you, I love working with you, I can be your full-time engineer, and
Mhm.
then I can look for the studio and and arrange the studio, book studio, arrange the schedule for you if you have me on. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then so since then I'm just working with him, and then we slowly transitions into just doing in his home.
Mhm.
Because I'm an engineer myself, I have a tons of different audio gear, so I just bring all my gear in, and then I set everything up like, okay, this is all yours, you can use it anytime. So we're just recording in the home now.
That works.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. He was just on H3.
I know.
That show's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been getting into that because my friend watches it, and so he'll like send
I
me the
know.
link. I
History
know.
Highness, they are great though.
It
We
was
recorded them.
fun, but
Yeah,
it was funny because it was just like all of a sudden I'm like, wait, hey, that's my friend. That's my friend engineer's that. I was
yeah,
getting really excited. I was like fandom, like that's my
yeah.
buddy.
Thank you.
Um,
But it's
but
great. Yeah, we
but what's
also
oh yeah, continue.
yeah, I also learned a lot of different mistakes along the way. Believe it or
Yeah,
not, like the first sessions that I ever did, it's two condenser microphone, Neumann condenser microphone, Neumann
yeah,
87,
yeah,
U87 into a big Neve console SSL, and then record that way. But I
yeah,
realized, sometimes if you use such a sometimes if you use gear that high up, uh, sometimes analog gears always generate noise. Whereas in podcasting, you don't want noise at all. Like that's the reason why Neve preamp is that great, is because of the noise they introduce into the instruments or into the vocals. They call it the saturations, the color. So they make it like that's why people love it. But you don't necessarily want it in your recording in podcasting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right, like the clean the more basic the sound. So
yeah,
like a lot of
definitely.
the tools that you're using in post effects for your podcasting and my edit, like the editing and cleanup that I do, is like 100% not needed.
Right,
It's different. My music such it's like you can have all these tools, but
right,
like almost all of the tools that you're going to be using are to clean the sound or to remove a thing,
right,
not to add something in unless it's
right,
for like a special effect or a special
right,
mood or something like that.
right,
But in general, you're just trying to get rid of the background noise. You're trying to get
right,
rid of the dog barking. You're trying
right,
to make it seem like you are in a place as quiet as my small studio, but like
right,
probably not as quiet as my small studio,
right.
right? I mean, like you're in New York right now in an
Oh man,
apartment.
you
Speaking of
have.
New York, oh my God, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Like,
I'm going crazy. I'm glad
time you
that
get groceries.
there's this thing called Fresh Direct. You can just
Okay.
order, they just deliver it for you. And I'm
Okay.
glad that we're doing this because hey, this is the first person I've seen in like 2 weeks.
Yay. Really?
No. But like
Okay.
the
I was like,
second
you do a
person,
recording.
the
Okay.
second person.
You and James.
Yeah, me, you and James. Yeah, you and James. That's it. Like I only see you guys. Yeah, and that's great. And then with New York, it's hard because like you get siren every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So like I would just use. Do you use RX7 Isotope RX7?
Yeah.
It's the best tool ever.
It's just great. I
I
mean, there
know.
was this point where I started getting really lazy with my engineering and I was like regressing very quickly
Right.
because I was just like clean.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they have this thing,
It's so simple.
the advanced version. They have what? The
I have the
RX7
standard.
assistant, right?
Yeah, I have the standard, so I don't have advanced, but with advanced, so the way that RX works is that whatever program, if you have like the basic, like the like 8 of them, there's one tool that you can do where it'll just combine all of them and then it'll run through and see what it needs to do.
Right.
But if you have the standard, then the like 40 tools, it'll take all of those and do that and then send it out. But if
Right.
you have the advanced, it'll take like the 100 tools and then put it out and then just get it all done. And
Yeah.
it's like click. I mean, obviously, I don't
RX7 is
fully agree with fully doing that, but like you can get a pretty
Well, the thing is, like,
easy
if
cheating.
you if you need to turn your podcast around like in 2 hours, that's probably the best way to do it. Like
Oh,
podcasting
100%.
is such a fast turning around industry compared to music. Music is like, oh, let's record vocals today, let's record guitars tomorrow, let's do the mix 2 weeks from now, and then you have full version of mix or
And
like
that's a fast turnaround. Like if you're thinking Nashville style, you know what I mean? And then
yeah,
you can
yeah,
think the LA style, which is like in 2 years I'll release my single, which is like a
right.
legitimate way of doing it too.
Yeah,
But it's like you can tweak and you can add, and you can build so many things.
right,
And with podcasting, like you really just need to get it out there.
right.
And
Especially if it's
like
topical stuff.
especially if it's topical. Like, a lot of what I do is evergreen, so it doesn't really make a huge difference.
Right,
Like, I can get things caught up and then, like, within the narration and everything, I'm able to build in other concepts for it,
right,
as long as the audio is good, and base my interview questions off the idea of it being evergreen,
right.
but it's like something like, this wouldn't make sense for my show because this is not is an evergreen because like, SSL, like, all these companies are gonna come out with a new interface in, like, 6
Yeah.
months.
Is
And
it
you
6
and you
months?
like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
summer no, not Summer NAMM, maybe they won't. Okay.
No, no more. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they
here,
have to
but,
slow down the manufacturing.
but exactly, the fact that conversation yeah, they're heading into their manufacturing cycle right now still for next year's NAMM. Like,
Right,
they're still trying to get they have all of their plans
Right.
for a year from now, looking out even looking out 2 years, looking out 5,
Yeah.
and they are building in that. And so like it's constantly changing.
Yeah,
So like,
that's what they need to do, right? Because like there's constantly different things coming out.
mhm,
Like so let's say podcasting, there's a different needs in podcasting every year. And then
right.
they have to think about the best workflow for podcasting or music every year. So they have to come up with new stuff and quicker processor, and Pro Tools or the DAW change almost every year. So yeah, the new version of Pro Tools just came out like yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm excited because Pro Tools is doing a 3 month.
Right. Are
And
you
I've
gonna
been
use?
wanting to use, yeah, 100%, because a lot of the bigger jobs that are out there that are
Right.
like the studios, they want Pro Tools. Like if you're
Yeah.
looking at network and everything, and like right now I'm supposed to be working on a network show. I've just like really been struggling with
Right.
everything. My mental health is just really exhausted being
Right.
alone. Like I'm a very social
Did you
person,
have
and
a
it's
fish?
not the same as virtual. Virtual does not do the
Right,
same
right, right.
thing.
But you have a
So I've been
fish,
getting out
right?
for walks. I have my fish.
Right.
Yes,
That
it's very
that's not
sweet.
named Kitty. Although
It's not
even though
named Kitty,
I
it's
guess
named Kovad, like
how bad.
you David, like from Schitt's Creek. I love that show. So
I
I
heard about
named
it.
it,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I named him that. That was one of my friends, my friend Matthew. He's the studio he's a producer, and again, one like a long process. So his album's
Right,
finally
right, right.
coming out, and
Oh,
but
it's great.
yeah, yeah, that's or singles. He's doing singles,
Right.
but
Wait, so do you know how to use Produce, or are you gonna learn?
I'm going to finally learn it. So I had a version of it, but like when I was a Guitar Center, but it needed 16 gigs of RAM. That was when they made that switch over, and I was like,
Right, right, right,
crap. And so
right.
I finally got this computer in January, and I thought that it was Pro Tools. You can get a perpetual license,
Yep.
or you can get like. You can get it, so it's a
Subscription.
perpetual license for a year, and so like you
Right.
can. And I learned it was just the year version, so I didn't have it, and I'm like, no.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna get to know it. Right now, I'm really diving deeper into Audacity just because I like teaching that. I'm
Right.
getting deeper into Audition. I've been using Hindenburg for years. I was trained in Logic, so
Right.
it's kind of like a hobby side of things. I'm just trying to get back onto the editing side because that's the hardest thing lately
Right.
for me is the focus and the audio. I was just having this conversation in the middle of the night with Shannon Kaysen about this. Like he was talking about the like, is anyone else like really having trouble with this? And when Shannon Kaysen says it, you're like, oh,
Right. Right.
I don't
Right.
feel crazy because like it's just like every 5 minutes there's a new piece of news,
Right. Right.
and like I can get really caught in a project. But like to get started sometimes is which can be the hardest. And while I've done that forever, I
Right.
don't know what like, do you ever have those troubles?
All the time.
Yeah.
Like it's real. Like once you get through the beginning of the project, when you started it, and then that's when your creativity start to flow, and then you're like, okay, you can get stuff done very quickly. But I
Hmm.
usually take like 4 to 5 months just to start one thing, because it's weird, because we always think like, oh, I want something that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about like how to make stuff perfect. So that's probably
Right.
the hardest part. But if you have any questions about Pro Tools, you can ask me. I use Pro
Yeah,
Tools
no,
all the
I
time.
would like maybe we can touch base back on as I'm getting to know
Uh,
it because I haven't
yeah,
downloaded it yet. I have like a list of things right now, right? Hey,
right.
it's the sirens.
I know. Now you hear it. Hey,
Hey,
welcome to New York.
welcome to New York.
Like
Oh
I
my
like I said
god.
in my talk when we first met, right? Like in New York, like
Yeah.
if you can hear the siren outside, your apartment is not quiet at
Yeah.
all. And then
Okay.
if you
It's
can
a
hear,
sign.
yeah, if you can hear homeless people having sex outside, that's not quiet at all.
Sorry. Like that also that makes me think of a particular there was like I shouldn't tell that story. It
Oh
was
my god.
no. Well, I used to work when I was in Seattle. My first job was working at downtown at a yeah, my first job was working at a terraceria as
Right,
the hostess. So I was
right.
the like woman up front, and so I worked downtown Seattle right in the waterfront.
Right.
And so
It's a
at
pretty place.
night in the evening when we would close at 9,
Right.
I would take the bus back up to my neighborhood in
Right.
Ballard. And so because you don't park downtown Seattle, like
No.
way
No.
too expensive. And so I would catch the bus. So I had to walk through
Right.
Pike's Market. And there was this one day and it was like a full moon and it was really nice weather. It was like one of those nice days. And it was the weirdest walk ever. I was on the phone with my brother and like I saw like two homeless people having sex. I saw another one just peeing off a balcony. They were just like,
Jesus.
they were like, it's my life. This is great. And I'm like,
Yeah, but I
And I'm
realized
sitting there on the phone, partly to be like, I would like to just say I'm on the phone while I'm walking to the bus. Like, not that I'm like worried about it, but it's just, it was so absurd that you're like,
right, right. But one thing about Seattle that I realized, like, I felt like Seattle's homeless people are a lot more aggressive.
I don't remember. I mean, maybe like
Yeah,
I don't
because
know the
like
difference. First, I
yeah,
mean,
because
Portland
in
for
New York,
sure.
they're like, can I have a quarter? Can I have a quarter? In Seattle, this person straight up walks up to me like, hey, can I have a $5? I'm like,
Really? I've never had
whoa,
that happen, but I'm curious about
whoa,
other
five
Seattleites what they would think.
dollars? That's a
Thanks,
lot of
Allison, for
money.
joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super funny. Oh, we just lost a lot of people in that conversation. Sorry.
Everyone just like, no, we're not gonna talk
We're
about homeless people.
definitely not bashing homeless. It was just
No, 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 yeah, yeah, because I felt like it felt like in this time of day, sometimes you need a little bit of
uh,
craziness story.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think that that's an interesting part of just the conversation that I'm seeing, and that's been interesting, like getting into the YouTube world because some of it's really outrageous. Like, I
it
don't know, there's a couple shows where I'm like, I really don't like that one because it's really too far. It goes too
is.
far. I don't want to
Yeah,
hear that. And
yeah,
then, and there's ones where it's just like irreverent. And I think that of course we have to be like conscious of things always, but we
mm,
have like
right.
in this time of humor, it's hard to just censor yourself constantly.
Yeah, it is, especially right now, right? Like like
Yeah.
you have to just be like make sure you're taking care of someone else feelings too, just
Yeah,
not.
and I think so often I'm just trying to like mute myself or like hold back that then I'm just like frustrated and then it's like it
Mhm.
goes almost farther. It almost goes to the
Right,
point where
right.
I'm just like, all right, like I'm really just not up for this.
Yeah, see, like my friends teach me one trick is like the best way is to like take like three big deep breaths and then just walk away.
Oh yeah. The one that I didn't do today is usually give myself 10 minutes not being online. And I think I checked the email within 30 seconds of waking up because I'm like, oh crap, look at the time.
Well, the thing is,
I
you
haven't
woke up late,
showered. I need to
right?
contact Jay. I check a message and like I see a post and the post is like telling me I'm wrong, wrong, wrong. And I'm like, I'm not wrong. I'm giving an opinion. So it
Right.
was an interesting thing,
Well,
but
see
that has
this.
nothing to do with interfaces.
Yeah, but this is why I want to tell other people too. Like in the world, no matter what, everything there's always a gray area.
There's
That's not
always a gray
right.
area.
There's no right and there's no wrong. That's why I want to tell people let's say audio interface. Like there's so many audio interface out
Yeah.
there. That's no one audio interface is wrong for you.
Right.
That depends on
If
your
if it works for you, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
I do think you do want to keep certain things in mind, knowing your computer. Like
yeah,
if you are knowing what your level of expertise is for technical things, like
right,
if you're really, really not technically savvy, go with the simpler ones.
yeah,
Don't feel like you have to
right.
go super complicated
Right.
with
So
anything.
so there's these three things you have to think about when you pick a audio interface, right? No, maybe more than three. No, I just on top of my head is like three.
There's some things.
Some things, first, are you on PC or are you on Mac?
Yes.
This is very important because some audio interface only work on one OS or the other. And then how many input do you need? Like, are
Yeah.
you interviewing like more than five people? Then you need and audio interface usually go for one input to two input to four input to
Like
six and then
6.
eight. Yeah,
Yeah. And then
yeah,
16. Like
yeah,
they just it goes by the doubling rules,
right.
really.
Yeah, and then but also be careful. Like sometimes the big interface, they might not have any preamp on them. Like Symphony doesn't have preamp on them. So
Right?
you need to know if the interface has preamp on them or not. Like usually if you go to the spec, they will just tell you how.
Also take a look at the preamps. So like some of them will have two of the nicer preamps. Like
Right.
they'll have that higher end and then the rest of them will be like the lower end.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that if you're like, but I need everyone to have super high quality. It's like, well, you're going to be spending more for that.
Right. Yeah.
But is that worth it to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because the budget going into the equipment also depends how much revenue you get. Like if
Yeah.
you only get like $10 a month, then maybe
Yeah.
not going to like maybe not go crazy. And the other
Right.
one for musician is that you make sure if you're a guitarist, make sure the preamp has the TRS input, the quarter inch input.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. And also like how much like Jenny said, like how tech savvy are you?
Mhm.
So that's probably like some things you have to think about when you choose the audio interface.
Yeah, how tech savvy. The other thing is good to know about your headphones is that a lot of your interfaces are only going to have a 1/4 inch jack.
Yeah.
So that's the bigger guy, and you want to know that because your like simple earbuds, you all have an 1/8 inch, like the
Right.
smaller size, and if just because you got an interface, if it you probably can't use it, so make sure that you have headphones that have that adapter.
Right. And then
Like,
if
so my baby face has one of each, but the
oh
Focusrite only has the 1/4 inch.
yeah, like SSL only have the 1/4 inch.
Yeah,
Most pro audio
just
equipment
have the
only have
1/4 inch.
yeah, just have the quarter
The Zoom has an 1/8 inch,
1/8 inch. Yeah. Yeah.
So it just really depends, but keep that in mind because it would stink if, especially for people who, because everyone is gonna be ordering online and everything's really backed up right now for orders.
Yep.
Like, for example, streaming cameras, like, you're kind of, SOL, right now,
What is SOL?
shit out of luck. Um, yeah.
That's great. This is
No,
the
I
first time I heard it. That's great though.
yeah, it's an Iowa term. S
This is an awkward laugh right here. Thanks.
no, it's good.
Thanks.
But it yeah, it's kinda like just sorry.
Jenny can't stop
No,
laughing.
it just stinks. For the last few years, I've been building up my studio. I really have enjoyed doing these streams, and a lot of it really came down to streaming because I started streaming like 5 years ago,
Right.
and I wanted to be able to have all of this really simple and easy just because,
Yeah.
it's just like I wanna have good quality, so it's been fun. I mean, I've never, like, pushed it super, super hard. I've just had
Right.
it there, and people have been like, "I love that you stream. I love what you care on stream."
Right.
But, like, it's like I don't yeah, I haven't pushed it super hard, so, like, I don't have a huge YouTube following or any of those things.
But your
It's
stream help people though.
yeah. What?
Your
Yeah.
stream help people. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
your stream.
No,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I like that it's just immediate. Like, for the streaming,
right.
it's like it's immediate and I can get a lot of information out really simply.
Right.
I look like myself.
Right.
I think that's fun. And I think that I like being able to see other people's faces. That's something that I enjoy.
Hi.
And so it's like one of the reasons I've done more with streaming and less with like just the interview with podcasting is that
Right.
like now we're done with it.
Right. And then we
Like,
can
when
just
this
put
is
it out.
done, it's
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
and I hope this recorded. I can't remember whether it does on
Oh
this
my
particular
God.
one, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like this is it's because 'cause I'm getting to know this particular area, this particular program, and I'll get
Right.
to know this program more,
Right.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like,
Yeah.
I
Because
can
you
change
learn
this
every day.
window. See,
Oh
now we
wait.
changed
What?
windows, right? So, like, right here, a lot of people will do it like this, and they'll have a background, and then
Right.
you can even have, like, the comment streaming. I don't quite know how to do that yet.
Right.
But, like, you can add banners, so whoop, that's not
Mm.
it, that was another day, but it's kind of fun, like,
Right.
so you can I don't know what this is. Okay, that's not anything.
Someone asked about like like have you compared sound device mix pre-line and Centrance mixer phase? Have you used sound device before?
What?
Have you used a recorder called sound device?
No, I haven't used sound device,
So
no.
sound device you might not know because sound device is the industry standard for post production. So on location recording,
Right.
boom microphone. I have to say, sound device preamp is great. However, the last time I used them, so I have what they call the sound device mix pre 3.
Yeah.
The weird thing is that it's 3-channel input, right? But if I want
Right.
to play back DAW, I have to sacrifice one channel.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
essentially it became 2-channel preamp.
Right, and a lot of them will do that,
Yeah.
and I think that's some of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It is interesting because when you get to that second level of anything,
Right.
it does get to that weird place of like,
Yeah.
of recognizing then you're gonna have another problem.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would say the big part about any of these is like staying patient
Right.
and being okay with like a feed not quite going the way you want it.
Right.
Like, so for example, is this weird noise that's been happening using my baby face. And people are like, I hear this. I know it's scary to me. I don't like it.
Baby face.
But I'm so glad I have my Focusrite because
Yeah.
again, I have my backup. I also have like a board. Like, so, I'm like you. I have plenty of gear. Like
Yeah.
I will just order things. I for periods of times I would like order certain things online just to test them out.
Right.
You know, like certain lights or certain cameras or certain pieces because I
Right.
just wanted to see like strange adapters that did nothing, you know, and then you're like, well,
He's
that's
like, oh,
trash.
yeah.
But it was like $5 on Amazon. And I'm like, if this provides a solution, that's amazing.
Right.
Right. And so it's like I luckily have that, but I really hope it's not hurt. But I'm gonna just be using the Focus right now for
Yeah.
streaming. So
I'm
I
pretty,
made that choice. For if I'm doing
yeah.
streaming, I'm not gonna. I think I'm gonna be able to still record with the baby face, and not have issues.
Wait, but the thing is, like, do you record the noise in the baby face, or it's the output that have the noise?
It's coming across in the stream. So again, that's a troubleshoot that I still have to
Right.
figure out. And
Right.
I
Right.
haven't prioritized that one right now, just because like
Come on.
I
Now is
just
the
it's just
time.
not my main priority because I have another interface,
Right.
and
Right.
we
Right.
just need to get these videos out. And you know, this is really fun. I'm
Yeah.
stoked that we're doing this.
I know, like another friend of mine actually like commented on the watch party, the Ellen and his
Oh,
QU16.
oh yeah, I have that.
Yeah, those are great because like you can.
Oh, not the QU. Sorry, I have a different Allen Heath.
All right, right. I
Oh,
mean,
on
like,
the watch party. I haven't been in the watch party.
what?
I was
It's your watch
well, no,
party?
because
No,
on the if you go to facebook.com slash so if you go to streamyard.com/Facebook,
right.
I can see the comments. So I was watching. Oh, Emma had one of those. Andrew said hi. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah, Regnu. Oh, that's your friend. Okay.
yeah, that's my
Uh,
high regu.
Q16, great. Yeah, that one's fantastic. Allison, who was commenting on the main feeds because it went to a couple different plays.
Right.
She has used. I've sold her a QU 3216. She also had an Apogee at one point, and then she ended up with um
Oh no.
the the Apollo. So she's gone through all three of them. We tried them all out,
Right,
and
right.
for her, she loved the Apollo at the end of it.
Did she say
Then
why? I'm just curious.
and then it was like a half an hour. She's just there's we can get into that more. She's a really killer engineer.
Oh, nice.
No, yeah, Andrew said, have we compared the mix pre? You know, I have not played much with preamps yet, like
No,
to be
no.
honest.
Mix pre is the
Yeah.
is a model. So
Oh,
mix pre,
okay.
like,
So no, I
okay, mix
haven't.
pre.
Oh,
Okay.
sound devices. I've heard of sound devices, but I have
Yeah,
not used sound devices.
yeah.
And I don't know the mixer face. No.
Yeah, I don't know
Ooh.
the mixer phrase too. Yeah,
Okay. So, and that was like a half an hour ago. Okay. But
yeah,
you know, this is fun. But I'd say this is another example of like learning this whole piece is like,
yeah,
you know, we talked about having us like also we could do the two on Instagram. So
yeah.
you know, like Instagram's weird.
You're cutting out. Is me cutting out? Am I cutting out? Are you cutting out? Hello, hello.
Because it was right there. Oh, are we back? Okay, we're back.
Okay.
We're at that hour point, and I probably should try to things for clients since I have been
Oh no.
less than focused. So it's so bad. And my one
Wait.
client, Yulia, she's actually trying to escape New York right now.
Oh, drop
Yeah,
again.
she's trying to escape New York right now, and we're like newly working together. We've been talking for months, so like,
Right.
she's like, "You can just find that file in the thing," and I'm like, "We literally have like 75 emails. I have no
Jeez.
idea where that is," and so I'm like trying to find her stuff because we wanted to have that out today, and I still don't have the
Right.
information. She's, um,
Ooh.
yeah, so we'll have to figure that out because I'm like, Yulia, contact me. She's like, "You can just find it," and I'm like, "No, I can't. I don't know
What
where
can
it
you
is."
call her?
I should try to find out where her number is.
Oh,
I'm
Andrew.
really bad about saving people's numbers.
Andrew wanted us to talk about mics and gear.
Mics and gear.
And
Well, we'll get it more into mics and gear. Today's this week, kind of to get an idea of these is like this week's
right.
interfaces. Last week was streaming. Next week, I'm actually going to go into media hacking with Clay Groves, and then
Ooh,
I feel
nice.
like mics is going to be it could be the next one because
Yeah.
I'm pretty much going by what people are asking questions about,
Right.
and I also just wanted to have Clay on.
Uh,
So
nice.
but he has done a lot of like how like he's been featured on a lot of different he's
Right.
done a lot of things where he's pitched media, like he's a lot of NPR kind of things and
Right.
he's really animating. I really
Jenny, you need a better internet. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Okay, I think that
You
this
need
is
a better internet.
what we literally just got an extender, and it's better than it was. So,
Right.
like it's in the middle between the two houses. It was so much worse before. Like this wouldn't even work.
Wait. Are you using other people internet?
I live outside of the house in a garage, and
Uh,
so we're using a Wi-Fi extender, so
uh,
it does the trick. But I don't know. It's also about 11 a.m. So my guess is it's just
people are using.
it'll go in and out. He might be
Right.
checking his internet. I don't know.
Right. But I just want to answer Andrew's questions really quick. So, just a very quick rundown. I'm using a SM7B into Cloud Lifter into Apogee Azombo for James Altrucher's podcast.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So
and right now you're using.
I'm using the shitty Sennheiser because all my microphones is at James's. So what
But
happened
this
is
one is going into what?
this one is going into the Audion Evo 4.
Okay, okay.
I don't know if you can see it.
No.
Right here. This is the
Yeah.
one.
This one is an SM7B into a Cloud Lifter into a Focusrite 2i2.
Right. That's why yours
That's what I
sounds
have
so
on
much
my end
better.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the Focusrite though. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, he made another comment. Okay, we're
Right.
getting there.
Oh, he says thanks. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for being on there, Andrew. It's good to see you
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good place to wrap up.
Yep.
And yeah, thanks for being here. We can
Thanks for
chat
having
again.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do
I
this
love
again.
nerding out with you because there's not a lot of people that can nerd out.
No, this is it was pretty much like immediate. And I think there's a point where I'm like, Jay, we have to stop talking about audio. My head hurts.
Because
we're like on this rooftop party. That was a fun party.
Right. Yeah. That's when we
was really
first met,
fun.
and then we just talk about RME, all the other crazy stuff. Yeah, because there's not a lot of people I can talk about that in podcasting.
No, it's so much fun, and it's
I know.
such a weird like I could just go down that hole like forever.
Right.
But it's especially fun with all my friends who work for other companies because we can all just rip on each other, and they're like,
Right.
"So I see you were so and so now." You just rep all their products, and I'm like, "I do consultations." It's just, but it just gets silly, and it's fun. I mean, obviously, there's all rivalries in any of these, but again, it comes back to the same thing we've been saying this whole time: is if it
Right.
works for you, it works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it doesn't work for you,
Find
get something else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the world is not flat, right? Sorry,
The world is
sorry,
not flat.
sorry, the
Sorry, flat earthers.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. But the world is not flat. There's always a workaround for everything. Like if you like I think I told you before. Like if you're feeling down and nothing works out, don't always look down. Just look up. There's always rainbow out there.
A really good exercise if you are feeling down is actually to look up and note the details around your space.
Right.
So like if you're just like in your head, it's like I can look up and then I see a monitor and it says HDMI on it. I look over and I see my shelf. It has noticing little details.
Right.
And that's a quick way to get you out of your head. And you're like, oh yeah.
Wait, if your monitor has a HDMI on it, like is that an Asus monitor?
No, I mean,
Do
I
we have
have,
the same
so I
monitor?
have I have my computer, my other computer, and then I have a monitor that I use for double screening, and it's really
Right.
nice, especially when I'm doing anything narrative or when
Right.
because I can have like all of the text on one side, and then
Right.
I can have my audio, so I can be cleaning it while going through
Right.
transcripts, and that's for my more complicated
Right.
clients.
Have you tried using your monitor in a vertical way?
This one I have not because I would have to reset it up. I like those vertical monitors. Those look cool. And I especially like them for people when I've seen them used were for like task lists.
Right.
Like
I used to have those. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like studio dreams, but it's weird. I've been having studio dreams for a while. I want to eventually not have my studio be my bedroom, which is my kitchen, which is my bathroom, But like, hey, it's I'm going through this period of time where like everyone I know who has a studio is not at their studio.
Right.
Like I feel very happy that I have this space. Like it ended up actually being a positive because if I had opened up or gotten a lease on anywhere, I'd be in much bigger trouble than I am right now.
Right.
And right now I'm just having right now really I'm having just like an existential crisis.
Right.
Like I'm just like, crying, being like, I miss my friends. Like, but like I'm thank you. Like it's real. It's not. Yeah.
I mean, it will get better. It will get better.
It will get better, but it's kind of like I think that when you look at the grief cycle, and this is I think all of this ties to everything. Same with gear. It's like there's that first part, and you're like, "Go, yeah,
Yeah.
we've got this," and then there's the like anger, and you're like, "This doesn't work. This interface is totally not working for me." And then the next one is like I think it's depression, and you're like, "Oh, it's
Oh,
not gonna
fuck.
work."
Yeah.
And then like I think the next one is like I forget. There's another one in between there, which
It's
is
a
sort of
denial.
like
It's like
which
I'm
is denial. It's like no, it's not broke. I can fix it. I can do it
right,
myself. I can
right.
and then there's like a stage kind of between depression where you finally find the solution. Acceptance is like, I know how to use my interface. I've
Yes.
got this. I've got this. And then
And
you
then
just,
that
then it
yeah.
starts over again.
Yeah, and then that's when you want a new interface.
Yeah, that's when you're like, I'm done with this one. Or like for me, it's lately been like getting to know programs. I'm like, I'm good and handy. Like,
Right,
I don't know.
right,
Let's learn another one.
right.
What's
Yeah.
next? Like,
Yeah, I mean like right now I'm just using a tons of Pro Tools and Premiere Pro actually.
okay. I
Yeah.
never used that one.
So Premiere Pro is great for video editing.
Oh,
But
okay. Oh, Premiere. Yeah. I wanna do more of it. I just haven't like gone to the like, let's add another subscription service. Um,
oh yeah, that's like $60.
uh,
$25, yeah.
I have so many right now. I
Right.
need to go back through. But some of it is like I'll beta test something for a while and have the $20 and then I'll forget about it.
And
So
then you
like,
just keep charging you?
yeah, I gotta. I've got like every couple months I'll go through and clean them up, and I need to do that like right now.
Right.
I started doing it in January.
Right.
But it's like things like I can go down a level in slide bean because I'm not speaking out as much, but I
Right.
am using them for slides here. Or a lot of them are doing the free months, so that's really nice to be able to take advantage
Right.
of. And it's kind of like I'll have HBO for a month and then I'll get rid of it and then watch Showtime
Oh wait,
and
what?
have Showtime for a month,
You,
like
you
if I through Amazon.
you didn't
Yeah.
ask for a password? You didn't just go out like, hey, you have a HBO password, just give me a HBO password.
I've never done that. No.
Really? That's what people do. Like they share password.
I know people do it. I just have
You
never.
just like, no, I
Yeah.
have my dignity.
No, I don't know. I don't know. It was like something that just didn't happen.
I mean, HBO is
No,
just
no, my friend, he has like every possible service, and like recently he's like, "Oh, I'm watching Breaking Bad," and I'm like,
I
"Okay,
never watched
I
Breaking
thought
Bad
you didn't
before.
have cable." Oh, it's no, sorry, Better Call Saul, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's my ex-girlfriend's." I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay, all right." I'm glad
hey,
you got something out of the divorce.
if,
You're
if,
not next
if
on
it
divorce.
works, it works. You know, like
It works,
like
but
yeah,
it was just funny because like yeah, when we were trying to watch the Oscars, that didn't work out, and I'm like, that's been after, but
yeah. I
but
mean,
but it's
Oscar.
like I was like, you're a smart kid. You're a smart kid. You figured it out.
Yeah. You just figure out their password, just keep it. Don't tell them when you're watching.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't kick them out of your of when they're watching too.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Or like currently my parents have my Netflix and I keep being like, you have to watch Tiger King
Wait,
and
did
they're
they kick
like,
you out?
what?
I never understand the like Tiger King hype.
It's just ridiculous. And any of these, you have to realize that the narrative is very, very questionable and
Right,
like how much of it is true and how much of
right,
it
right, right,
isn't.
right, right,
And like the bunch of people on it are like, this is so not accurate. Like the guy who's like made out to be this huge playboy, he's like, dude, yeah, I have a girlfriend, whatever. But like half the women that were shown are like wives and girlfriends of the employees, and half our staff is male, and they didn't show a single man there. Like,
What?
yeah. He's like, we were there because we were filming they were filming a documentary about like this work that we're doing to save tigers in like Burma, and then
Right.
they didn't use any of that. And I'm like, but you have to remember that in anything that you're doing with media, it's all from an angle.
Yeah, it's for it's all from narrative. Like that's how they
Yeah.
tell
And
that's
how
how
we
they get
pitch
rating.
it, and
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun with Clay in our conversation next week is, like, when you're talking about your pitches to
yeah,
organizations, and when you're talking about pitches to people that you want to have if you wanna be on their radio stations or whatever, and, like, in this era right now is different than where it was 2 weeks ago, like,
right,
a month ago, like,
right,
the takeaway in LA was, like, start working on network pitches, and then now it's like,
right.
not now.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of stories that they drop almost all the new show because like
Yeah.
they have no productions. The production stopped and all the stuff.
Yeah, for a lot of places, and a lot of has to just switch really quick, and that's sort of where the streaming
Yeah,
really came in, and why we
yeah,
have to know how to do these things, because if you are like, or even just the last year, I've done a lot of consults with broadcasters because, people who are because they had a studio and they were always in the studio,
right,
and then they're like, well, now I have my home studio. how do I do base like a few different things? We'll just like touch base on a few of them and I'll get them
Right.
streamlined for it. Like either in person where I'll go into their studio or here. And it might be small things about how to use a certain program or like certain just basics pieces of it because it's not the gear side can be a little it doesn't translate for everyone.
No,
And
yeah, because like
it's
everyone
just a learning
learns
curve.
differently. Yeah.
It's your depression cycle.
Right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
And
like I'm like riding a horse.
well, you live in Oregon. Like I'm sure like there's horses there.
There are horses here. Actually,
Oh, wait,
one of
really?
my former students, Katrina, she's a senior this year, and she's an amazing equestrian.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
oh
I
yeah,
never
that's
ride
totally
horses.
random.
I never ride horses before, but I ride ostrich before.
What? You've ridden an ostrich?
Yep.
Fun fact.
Yep.
That sounds like really scary.
It's weird. Like they have to be blindfolded. They can be know that they are being right, and then like the person just like move them around. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I ride it when I was 12 years old,
Oh my god.
and then we eat the ostrich after.
Okay, you ate it? Are you
I
serious?
did. I didn't, but like some other people did.
The expression of my face. Oh.
It's an ostrich farm, so like they have ostrich. Like you can ride around the you can ride.
I was imagining this like weird Hunger Games like task. It's like, and you're gonna choose your dinner tonight. You ride him and then you eat him. I'm like it's your dinner tonight, and I'm like, that is just a dark story for a 12-year-old,
Well,
right?
but like, yeah, I mean,
Or is this your April Fool's joke?
no, it's not April Fool's joke. No. This is very real. This imprinted in my head like forever now. But yeah,
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much,
thank you
Jay.
for having me.
This is a blast.
This
We'll do
is
this
great.
again.
We need to do this
I'll
more
see you
often.
on the text messages.
Yes, we need to do. Maybe we can do like not just regular talk. That would
We
be
can
fun.
do regular talk too. And the cool thing about here is you can have up to 6 people, so we can also do like larger calls. We should get Roger on.
Oh yeah. He's great.
I know. I should message him.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All
We're
right.
all set. We're good to go.
Get a
I'll be
better
streaming.
internet.
Yeah, I'll be doing the Zoom talking interfaces and talking the setups and everything on Friday at 1 p.m.
Right.
So I decided to just stream them there. Like I was doing this like you can join my Zoom call, it's for free. And then I'm like, no, it needs to be simple. I wanted just to stream really simply. I'm making it easier.
Right. I feel like Zoom call is real when you have people join you because what if they talk all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I like, yeah, but I also like, yeah, what if they talk all the time? We
Right.
can mute them upon entry, but like that's
Right.
good if you're doing streaming. If you're recording people, you don't want to do the mute upon entry,
Right.
like because then it doesn't like connect well for the separate pieces of it. But yeah, if you're just doing streaming, then like
Right.
you don't want to have a ton of people, especially if you're doing workshop style.
Right.
Mute upon entry is like
Right.
key.
Yeah.
So,
All
all
right.
right.
Thanks for having
I'm
me
gonna
on.
end the broadcast and then we'll chat for just a second.
Right.
So we'll see you guys later. All right, bye.
See ya. Ciao.